What's up, Facebook? What's up, YouTube?
And
We're good. We're live everywhere.
hold on, I'm waiting on Instagram. And we are live on Instagram.
Nice. All right. Let me get the phone on here. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Mirabella Mindset. So, as people load in on this live, I'll give everybody a minute to get in, settle in. If you have any questions, raise your hand, get them ready. I'm actually going to turn my computer down because I don't know why it's so loud. And a little different setting here. I'm not sure if you guys like it. If you like it, drop it in the comments below. So if you're an owner, you're going to want to listen up. You're going to want to pay attention. This is typically for anyone who has a team. So you could own a suite, you could be renting a chair, and you could have an assistant with you. One of the things when I talk to owners is they never have the staff that they want, right? There's always complaints about their team. They don't follow through on anything. They don't have the team that really delivers or shows up the way they want them to. Here's the thing you have to understand. Your team responds to how you show up for yourself. If you were to create your own internal program within your salon to duplicate how you are as a stylist, how you show up, you're going to be able to duplicate each one of your team members to, now, I'm not saying be an exact carbon copy of you, but duplicate the work that you put out, duplicate the way you show up to your clients and for your clients. If you're the best at what you do, wouldn't you want your team to follow you? Don't you want them to show up the way you do? So as you grow and scale your salon, you have the ability to pass off clients to them. The whole thing about owning a business is to buy back your time and then help build other people. If you build the team builds the business. So I want you to think about like everything you do and everything that you did as a salon owner that got you to where you are today. And the basics, like go back to the beginning of when you first got out of hair school. And I want you to think about like what that journey was like for yourself. I'm actually going to get this water bottle out of the way. James, is that your water?
No.
So it was like blocking my view. And I want you to go back and think about what it was like to be a stylist just starting out. What didn't you know? What do you wish you knew? What did you wish someone had told you about how to grow and scale a business behind the chair, how to interact with clients, how to do a consultation, how to do a haircut, how to fix a haircut after you messed it up, the proper way to apply color, the proper way to take down foils, every single aspect about what you do. And if you're a barber, it's the same thing. These little things that you learn throughout the years, whether it be how to cut someone's hair around the ears, how to fade a neckline, how to deal with a cowlick in the front. There's so many aspects of our business. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this is there's something I teach called the camcorder method. And if you can document every aspect of what you do for all your clients and do it over the course of a year, you're going to build an internal catalog of instructional videos and how-tos that you will give your team. The point is you want to be able to leave your salon and have your standards still being met. They don't need your presence, but your standards should still be met. And if your team can't deliver on the standard that you have and the way you show up for your clients, well, then there's a gap. You got to fill that gap. If you do this with every single person that you hire, you're going to be exhausted. So what you need to do is spend a year filming yourself, bringing your team over when you have a client that has like a unique thing that you do, a unique process to cutting their hair, a unique system to cutting their hair, a unique way of foiling their hair, a unique way of applying color just for them, specific to that scenario, because that scenario will probably be present in somebody else that they have in the future, or they could help you with that client in the future and know exactly what you do. You need to become a coach. You need to become a mentor. You need to become a guide. Your team is looking for leadership, and that's what you're there for. So whenever you have a situation in your salon, or whenever I did, to be honest with you, and I'm not sure if you guys do this too. If you do, please leave a comment below. But whenever I had like a tricky client or something that I wanted to articulate to one of my team members, I would just call them over. I would be like, "Hey, Nicole, come here for a second. Hey, Bree, come here for a second." And I would be like, hey, when you have a client that has this situation, here's what I do. And this is how it's worked for me. I've tried these couple of things before, and the result wasn't really that good. Why am I doing that? I'm doing that because I want to get to a situation before it becomes a problem. And when the time comes for my stylist to come across a a particular scenario that I addressed already, she's already armed with the skills and the knowledge on how to overcome it. So she already knows how to fix it. And what's going to happen is she's going to think to herself, what do I do in this situation? Now, if she was never told anything, she has nothing to go off of. The purpose of you being an owner is to give them the tools that they need, not just the running water and the lights and the chairs to do hair, but the tools. You also have to speak to them when the time comes when someone's unhappy with their hair. It's going to come. Like it happens all the time. And as an owner, you have to get into the mindset and the psychology of what it's like to have a client not be happy. And what do you do? How do they deal with that? How do they deal with, a client crying in the chair? How do they deal with the possible like the possibility of someone dying? Like a client comes in and you're doing her hair for her husband's funeral. A death of a child, a death of, God forbid, knock on wood, that never happens. You never have to deal with that. But these are scenarios that happen that no one's prepared for. And if you've been in this career long enough, you've probably experienced it. You've experienced people going through divorce, people getting a sickness, a diagnosis, a death in the family, and you're dealing with a lot of different things in your life and in your salon that you can now pour into somebody, and you could help them out with that. You could help them out with that situation. So, James, are we good on sound? Okay, cool. Do me a favor, get that iPad out of here. That's jumping up too, and make sure that door's locked. Yeah. Just flip it upside down. Yeah, I've just seen the light. It's distracting me. Guys, going live is really a pain in the ass. There's so many details. If I could spin the camera around for everyone to see the setup we have going on, what James put together, it's pretty wild. But James, make sure the door's locked too. So if you guys are asking yourself, well, how do you train your team? What do you do? Like what ask the question in the comments below. One of the things that I did, obviously, you guys know I'm a mentor, I'm a coach. I share it in my stories. There's no shortage of content speaking about what I do. How I did it was I first created my program for my team to take. So I wanted them all to get involved in it. Now, whether they enjoyed it or not, that's on them, right? I have independent stylists, so it's my job to teach them how to become independent stylists, how to attract clientele, how to keep clientele, how to speak to clientele, how to build a book, how to handle their finances, how to handle budgeting, how to run ads. If you could build a team of people who are self-sufficient and don't need you, that's an awesome place to work. That's an awesome salon to run. When I talk to different salon owners, and one of the things they want to do is sell their salon because they're getting burnt out. It's because they hit the complexity ceiling, right? The business got too complex. They hit that wall. Now, there's a constraint in the business, and they have to be able to figure out how to get through that constraint. There's something called the theory of constraints. If you want to Google it, go look it up. But beyond the theory of constraints, there's something that happens to entrepreneurs and salon owners when they hit a certain level of business and they get burnt out, they get exhausted, and they just don't know what to do. And I compare this to anyone who's ever ran a marathon before they call it the at the 18th mile. James, you can look it up for me. It's like the block or the wall, the 18-mile wall. I don't run marathons, so I'm not that privy to this information, but I did just listen to a call this morning and they were talking about this. And I related it to business. Like there comes a time in your career as a salon owner that you just get burnt out. Like you put in the work, you're doing all the clients. If you don't show up, you don't make money. There's no profit in the business. And it's because you're not building the team. So take a look at everything you've ever done and put it down on either paper or Google Doc or some kind of curriculum so you can start teaching it to your team and then they don't need you anymore. And then you can take the vacation and still be profitable. Like salon owners want to sell their salon, but there's nothing to sell because if you don't come along with it, the salon's worth nothing. So you have to build the team. So you could pass the salon off to somebody else and they could buy it, and it's turnkey. It's worth something. It's valuable. But here's the magical part. If you build a salon that you can sell, it's a much better salon to own. So you probably won't want to sell it at that point. So anything you do when it comes to ownership, do it with the intention of being able to sell it. And that means you being removed from the equation. The salon should run completely efficiently without you. And I would say 99% of salons don't run like that. It's just a fact. They don't. Mine never did. Mine still need a little input from me. Like there's multiple locations that one needs more work than the other. And I think part of the reason why I have multiple locations is to learn from each one so I can, really pour into lives like this, and I can pour into my team because there's so much that goes on a day-to-day basis and each one's different. Like there's something called the 5 levels of leadership that if you're a salon owner, you should definitely check that book out. It's by John Maxwell. And each one of your salons independently, they're at different phases. Like some of my team members down in Florida, I'm not at a level 5 or a level 4 because I'm not really there as much. That will be Jenny, right? The owner down there, my partner. And then some of the team members in Chatham, I'm not there with. Some of them I am. In my own salon, the one I've really spent most of my time in, I'm at that level of leadership. But as I stepped away from the business, I go down a little bit. Like I'm not pouring into them as much. So I have to show a little more presence in my salons. And I'm not perfect. I'm learning as I go along too. I never knew what it was like to run 5 salons before. Now I'm learning. So running one salon's easy. And so what I like to do to myself is I like to make things difficult for myself so I can learn. I make things hard. I make things. I put pressure on myself to become a better owner, a better leader. And so if you're an owner, and let's say you're in a 5-chair salon, I'll give you a really good scenario right now. It's you and 4 other people, and your guys are rocking and rolling. You're doing good, but then you want to grow and scale. So you think, what are you going to do? I'm going to go open up a new location, or I'm going to expand. And so you take on a bigger lease, you take on a bigger location, and now you have bigger problems. But yet you're not ready to do that yet. You didn't raise your leadership skills. You didn't raise your conversation skills. You didn't raise your business acumen yet. And so when you go into the bigger location, you almost fall flat on your face. You were better off in the smaller location because you were more profitable and you don't know what it's like to run a 15-chair salon. You were great at a 4 or 5-chair salon. Here's what you should try. What you should try is instead of expanding the salon or getting a bigger one or a second location, maximize that current location to its fullest potential. What I would do is I would take the 5 or 4 stations that you have, and I would do a split schedule. I would do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday crew and a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday crew. I would extend the hours for each day for each one of my stylists, and I would master the art of recruiting. So now I would have 8 people working in my salon, let's say, where I could only really fit 4 because of the way the schedule was. They have 1 day on, 1 day off each, but they're all booking the same amount of money. So instead of doing, 20,000 a week out of that salon, you could potentially be doing 40,000 a week out of that salon with no more overhead. Right? Isn't that amazing? So, but if you don't have the skills to do that, then you don't have the skills to go open a bigger location. So I would try that first to keep your overhead down and manageable. So before you take that next step, ask yourself, are you ready for it? Do you have systems in place where you're training people to deliver on the services that you deliver on the way you deliver them? And if you don't deliver services, if your retention rate as an owner isn't like above 85%, take a look at yourself, take a look at your services, take a look at how you handle yourself as a stylist and fix it. Because how you show up as a stylist is how your team's going to show up. So if you're seeing inadequacies in your team, it's because you're inadequate as a leader and you're not able to pass on those skills to your team. So I'm going to open the conversation up to some Q&As right now. James, are there any comments going on? All right, cool. Guys, if you're an owner, even if you're like a stylist thinking about becoming an owner, drop some questions in the comments and we're gonna chat back and forth.
Call in live. We get the link pinned in the comments. Come and hang out. Hair Ninja 85 by Christian. Nick, what happens if if a stylist is an independent contractor? How does this work?
It works the same way. You help feed them. You're there to be a mentor. and the coach to them. So just because they're independent, oh, do you mean independent as in independent, like behind the chair, they rent the chair from you, or are they commission? My independent stylists are commission. This is why I like to have that independent commission structure. So I'm able to pour into them as stylists, and it's a win-win for both of us.
I'm
But
sure he's talking about an independent contractor, like
they're renting a
they're
chair.
renting a chair. Yeah.
It works the same way. It's your brand. So if you have a brand, what I personally would do is if you're that good of a stylist and you have the ability to be fully booked out, let's say you are an amazing extension artist or a blonding artist. You have a skill set, a technique, a thing that you do better than anybody else, right? If you put in part of your chair rental agreement classes that you teach to the salon, and that's part of the rental agreement that they have to have a certain standard that they have to meet, that's completely doable. But you have to show up and teach those classes for them. And this way, you raise the standard collectively for everybody else in your salon. That's what I would do if I had a chair rental business. I would have the rent be a little bit more expensive, but I would also supply the best education that they would get access to. And so that's one way you can do it. It's important that even though you have a chair rental salon or an independent salon, you still protect the brand because it's the salon that has a Google business page. It's the salon that people are going to talk about. Whether they talk independently about that one stylist who may or may not be great at your salon, it's still taking place at your salon. So you have to protect that brand reputation. James,
Nope.
no more questions? We're good?
No more questions.
All right, cool. So I'm going to jump off of some questions I got in my DMs right now. So let's take a look here. Where is that conversation coming from? So I was chatting with somebody yesterday. All right, cool. So here's the deal. You guys are solely relying on your Instagram to provide you clientele, which is amazing. It's a great source to get clientele. What do people do when they're looking for something? They Google it. Why don't you focus on your Google business page too? Like it blows my mind that when I talk to people and they don't even have a Google presence yet. If you want to attract more clients, what do clients do when they're looking for something? They Google it. Make sure you fully optimize that Google business page. That's one of the fastest ways to get the attention that you need on the services you provide. Social media is great. Social media is literally life changing to people. But if you own a suite, why don't you have a Google business page? If you're renting a chair, why don't you have a Google business page? Why don't you put some attention behind it? Why don't you ask for reviews? Why don't you upload the pictures? Truly optimize that Google business page, and you'll see just an influx of clientele coming in for free with no effort. It's not that hard to do. And then when someone Googles best colorist near me, guess who pops up? You do. Where can I get hair extensions? You'll come up. So make sure you're doing that. That was one of the questions that somebody asked me yesterday. And okay, here's another question.
I got one.
I have no clientele, but I don't have time to post on social media. What? What are you doing when you don't have clientele? So they told me that they have children. I get it. I got kids too. But if you're doing clients from 9 in the morning till 5 at night, that's your designated time to do clientele. Then what you should be doing is marketing your salon or your suite or your chair or your services from 9 to 5 every day. Go live, do mannequins, do Q&As. I don't care what you got to do. You should be doing something to market yourself from this time to that time. Edit content from the day before, do models. The fact that you don't have time is just an excuse. The reason, like the kids should be the reason why you put the work in and put the work in at a pace that's unmatched. So when you're spending time with your kids, you're truly present. For any person out there who uses the excuse of kids, and trust me, I get it. My wife works her ass off. Like I see how much she does. And like obviously, like I'm here right now. She's home with the kids, and it's a lot. But if you're working, you need to put somebody in place to take care of the kids while you're at work and truly maximize the amount of time and the amount of volume that you're putting out during that time of work. Kids should not be the excuse. They should be the reason why you work so hard. And then because you work so hard and you emptied your gas tank, it's at zero, you could be truly present with your children. And if you plan your days properly and you manage your energy, your kids aren't a problem. It's not that you don't have time. You just don't manage your energy right. You waste time is what the problem is. You're sitting here daydreaming about where the clients are, and then you're stressing about it when you're with your kids because you have no money and you're not focused on your kids. So from 9 to 5 every day, if that's the time you set for yourself to do clients, then do the clients or do the work needed to market yourself to get clients. That's simple. James, what's that question?
Akuzam. I lost one stylist who just moved away and left 2/3 of their clientele. 2 stylists are out on maternity leave and one more going out in January. Where can I find well-rounded stylists for overflow, etc.?
All right, so this is like the common problem that everyone has. What do you do better than anybody else? That's the first thing. And I would teach classes every single Monday in my salon. So I would invite every single hairstylist in like a 10-mile radius. I would DM every single person. All I would do for the next, I don't know, 30 days is open up conversations with every single hairstylist in a 10-mile radius and ask them, questions, shake hands with them, open conversations, and I would see what's going on in their. Actually, here's what I would do. I would invite them to that class. So I would put a class every Monday. I would reach out to them and be like, "Hey, I'm doing a free class. Would you like to come?" You're gonna get people say no. People block you. People will say you think you're fucking weird. But guess what? Out of 100 people, you might get 3. Out of the 3, maybe one's a good fit for your salon. You do that for a couple weeks, you fully staffed your salon. The thing is, no one's putting the energy required to attracting stylists that's needed, and all they're doing is sitting here waiting for stylists to find them. Go out and get them. Create a brand that's so good that stylists can't ignore you. Showcase yourself on social media. DM people, talk to people, host classes, go to the Facebook groups where they're at. Talk to every single person you know. But make sure that you have the best salon in the area that everybody wants to work at. Fix that first, then invite everybody over to it. And I think that will solve your problem. If you want more help with that, shoot me a message. I have a lot of great ideas and great systems that I implement and that I have my team and my clients implement that really help them out. But you have to put the work in. Like that's another whole thing. Like don't think you're going to ever buy a course or hire a coach or a program and expect it to magically happen. It's like buying a gym membership and expecting to lose 20 pounds. It doesn't work like that. You have to put the work in. You have to put the strategies in place and actually execute them. And if you do that, then you'll get the results that is promised. But if you don't put the work in, if you don't take time to learn the strategies that are being taught to you, it's never going to work. I don't care what course it is. I don't care how great that mentor is. You have to put the work in. And that is in every aspect of life, whether you're trying to lose weight, you're going to the gym, you're trying to learn a language, you're trying to learn how to cook, you have a relationship, a marriage, you don't put the work in, it's going to fail. You don't put the work in as a salon owner and learn the skills needed to recruit staff members, to recruit clients, to learn how to do the marketing, never going to be successful. James.
Color by Ori said fire setup. I like that. Thank you. We got Kelsified. How would you start going from a solo stylist to building a salon?
I fucking love this question. So the question is, James, they heard you, right, with that question? You got a mic on?
Yeah, I got a mic. I hope beautiful. They heard me. How would you start going from a solo stylist to building a salon?
Do you have an assistant yet?
Let's see.
Here's what I would do. I would first hire an assistant. All right, I'm going to unpack this. How would you go from a solo stylist to owning a salon? You're going to need to learn the skills of leadership, first off. I would get a bunch of books on leadership. Honestly, I would just jump in my program and I would get in my program. I would take you from zero to hero, but start working with an assistant if you don't already. I would learn how to have an assistant help you grow your current clientele by taking more appointments throughout the day. Here's the reason why. Every person who talks about, oh, I have a luxury service, I don't double book. Well, you need to stop with that mindset because you can double book. You can make it still a luxury service and you can do it effortlessly and still make it a very smooth experience if you manage your bookings right. I would have them help me apply color. I would never let them do it alone. I would always have them do it with me. Then I would start passing blow offs off to them. I would have me booking 5,000 a week and I would have them slowly build up to 1,000 to 1,500 a week. And if you're in a one person suite, I would try and get 2 chairs right away. Then what I would do is I have the skills now of having someone help me and then building up slightly. I will look for a location with maybe 5 or 6 chairs, something you could afford. What I would do is not find an A location. I would find a C location that the rent's a little lower and the space is a little bigger. It may make sure it's good parking, make sure it's convenient. Like it's not like on some weird, dark, shady ass road, but it's convenient to get to, right? There's not like a weird U-turn they have to take, but you can get to, you can access it very easily. I would use that as my first location because the rent's low. It's probably less than your suite, to be honest with you. Then I would hire somebody else. Might hire like a busy stylist to come take on some of that overflow or the over expensive rent. But typically, you're going to be able to pay for your salon yourself. Now, I would power book 7 days a week. This is what I would do. I would work 7 days a week, maybe work six. I would get my book up to like 7,000 a week, 6,000 a week, let's say. I would get the other person built up to the point where now they can't assist me anymore. I would hire another assistant. At the same time, that thing I told the other guy about, hosting a class at your salon, I would start hosting classes at my salon and inviting other hairstylists into my world because I'm teaching them the thing that I'm the best at. As I do that, I'm getting attention on me through my social media. Now I go from 3 people to 6 people, 3 of which are pretty much fully booked. Now they're independent stylists. When I say independent stylist, they're commission-based independent stylist. And right from that, right from there alone, you're fully set. Like that's it. You're good. That's what I would do. You first have to believe it's possible and believe in yourself. But the point of me telling you to work so hard and actually build the book to a point where you're making that much money behind the chair is because you want to make sure you have the ability to cover all your expenses without the need for another stylist. Too many owners get themselves in situations where they can't solely cover the rent of their salon. And you're kind of like held hostage by a team member who, if they leave, you can't pay the rent, and now you can't pay your mortgage or you can't pay your rent in your house, and it's just a big mishmash of just chaos, and you don't want to deal with that. You single-handedly should be able to cover the rent in your salon when you're starting out. Like this is how you move from a solo suite to a salon owner. I did something very similar. That's why I'm speaking about it so passionately because I did it. I did it several times in my life. So I did that with a salon. My first partnered up with somebody, and then I sold that bit of the partnership. Then I went by myself. I left the whole business. I didn't take the Yelp page, didn't take the Google page. I built it from scratch in a 12. It was at the time I expanded, but it was a 12 chair salon by myself, really, behind the chair. I was
That's
able to
true.
cover the rent. I built an assistant up. Then I hired another one. Then I brought on 3 people who were pretty busy. It's the exact scenario I did. And then guess what I did? I bought another salon that was busy. Then I bought another salon. Then I built a salon in another state. I'm using the same process in that state. That's the recipe. If you want to learn how to do that in detail, DM me the word grow and I'll break down the whole entire strategy. If you want to learn more about that, click the link in my bio and there's a little video there and some testimonials on that page. And you can learn more about how I do that and how I help people through my community and my curriculum. James.
Calcified says she does not have an assistant, thinking that was the first step.
Good.
Um,
Guys, and the assistant is there to help you become a better leader. They could help you answer emails, help you answer the phone. Like, get out of the mindset of just this hourly mindset where you're charging by the hour. I think it's a broken business model. I know there's coaches out there who teach this particular method, and I've entertained it. It just doesn't work. Like it may work for you, it may work for in some situations, yes. There's a hybrid way to do it. But if you sell the result, then you could truly grow and scale a salon because you're selling the result. You can have multiple people help you out along that customer's journey, and they are paying for the result. They're not paying for anyone's time. And so that's how you can charge a large premium for your services. So,
We got, how can I create and maintain a positive and productive team culture?
core values. So, you set the standard. James, what was that question again?
How can I create? Hold on, I lost it. How can I create and maintain a positive and productive team culture?
All right, here's 3 ways you can create and maintain a positive team culture. First, establish what your salon's core values are. That's first and foremost. What do you guys stand for? Then establish a mission statement. Like, what's your salon's why? You don't have a why, then you have nothing. That's your mission. That's your mission statement. That's the reason why your salon exists. Now, your core values is how you do it. So it's important that you have them established with respect, teamwork, hard work, integrity, family. All those are core values. Okay. And then number 3, be a servant leader. You have to establish your leadership skills and you have to have systems in place. So let's swap out. And number 3, you have to have systems in place to make sure that the core values are always being met and that everyone's following through on that mission statement. There's only 2 reasons why salons have problems, or there's only 2 reasons that there's only 2 types of problems that a salon will have. So you have a people problem or a process problem. You hire based on the core values, and then you have the processes in place to make sure that everyone's following through on those core values and everything runs really smooth. But you have to inspect what you expect. So if you have a manager in place or you have team members now in your salon, you have to inspect the culture a little bit. You have to have your one-on-ones. You have to have your team meetings. You have to make sure that everyone's living up to the standard that you're setting for the salon. And that comes from meetings. That comes from talking to people. That comes from leadership. So you always inspect what you expect. And so if you expect a certain level of standard in your salon, then you have to inspect it. Maybe send in some secret shoppers. Maybe you have to definitely make sure you're reaching out to clients to see how their experience was. Because if there's something going on in your salon, you don't know what the experience was like for every single for every single client in your salon. So you reach out and ask them. Make sure you have a follow-up system. That's a system. That's a process. Have those in place. Hopefully that answered your question.
Then we got, hold on.
James, see what I did there?
I did not.
I reset the hook.
There you
So
go.
now we can go off of that time, and I reset the hook for that video.
Look at that. Guys are professional now.
That's real time.
Guys are professional. We got, what steps should I take to encourage open communication and collaboration among the team members?
What steps can you take?
To encourage open communication and collaboration among team members.
Here are 2 things you can do to establish open communication and collaboration amongst team members. The first thing you need to do is have monthly check-ins with everybody. There's a series of 12 questions that I ask my team. If you like those 12 questions, DM me the word 12 questions. And in those questions are a series of questions that help me understand how is everybody communicating, where am I missing as a leader, and where is the team missing collectively. Now, what you could do is implement some kind of a quarterly event so everyone's, having fun together. But those 12 questions really help you out. And the second thing is have a have an environment that everybody wants to collaborate in. Some salons are so competitive that everyone feels like they're kind of against each other. You have to change that if that's in your salon and make it where everyone collaborates on projects together and everyone's open-minded. And you do that through education and leadership. So it's important that you have those 12 questions established. And then that way you can really find out what's going on inside the head of that person Like, you may think you're doing a great job. Like, I thought I was doing a great job in my salon, and apparently I wasn't because I'm not present enough. And by me implementing these questions, I was able to see that. Now, with collaboration, I'm going to start doing some more events together as a salon. So we're more of a team and more of a family, team building events. So those are two things that I do to help establish the collaboration with my salon and keep everybody on the same page. But again, like, excuse me, you're only going to have two problems in your salon. It's a people problem or a process problem. And if you have a people problem, you either hire the wrong person or you didn't have the right process in place to support that person. And so you have to fix the process first. That's what I go to. And if you have a great process in place, then you might have hired the wrong person. Then I would go back to your hiring process. And I would fix that too. James, timestamp that for me.
Probably 34 minutes.
Cool. Any more questions?
Yeah.
Let's get through them.
Hold the phone. How can I motivate my team to invest in their own personal growth?
How can you motivate your team to invest in their own personal growth? Do you invest in your personal growth? Like, and the whole call actually is based around this. Like, you have to influence your team through your actions. So if you are investing in yourself to become a better mentor, a better coach, a better leader, they're going to see that and they're going to want to invest in themselves. So you have to tell them, like, what's on the other side of self-development. They have to work on themselves. And by you doing that and you showing up every single day as a better version of yourself, you're going to inspire them. They're going to be truly inspired. Like, wow, I want to have what Nick has. I want to have what Jen has. And they're going to be like, hey, how are you doing this? They're going to look up to you. And so as an owner, you have to set the standard that you want everyone to follow. And that comes from inspiration, right? You have to inspire every single person with the standard that you're setting. Like, truly inspire yourself. Like, everything you do as an owner has an impact on your team. It truly does. So the only way to motivate them is to inspire them, because motivation dies, right? This goes for every owner. You have your meetings, you fluff everybody up. Everyone's going to post on social media. They post for 3 days and then they stop. And that's the story around every salon in the world, except for the ones that inspire. So you have to truly inspire your team. That's the only way to really get them to follow through. And when you have your one-on-one meetings with them, find out what their goals are. Find out what they want to do with their life. Like, find out what experiences they want to have, and then help them become the person who deserves to have those experiences. And they should, honestly, that should solve a lot of your problems right there.
Light X Teen follows up on that question, says, I invest lots and still not seeing them be inspired.
Are you letting them into your world? Are you showing up for them? Are you coaching them? Do you have one-on-ones with them? And then are you having any kind of meetings where if you're investing in yourself, are you hosting classes with them to inspire them and teach them? Here's the one thing. People who are really good at things love doing them. So there's an amazing book called So Good They Can't Ignore You, and it talks about career capital. And so for every business owner, I ask 3 questions. What business do you think you're in? What business are you really in? And what business do you need to be in? And as an owner, this question can be answered a multitude of ways, but you're in the recruiting business first and foremost, right? You have to recruit talent to come into your salon to work behind the chair, and then clients to come get their hair done. That's without being said. That's top of the list right here. But you're also a coach. You're also a mentor. It's important that you learn the skills of leadership and how to communicate. And there's something called the 5 love languages. Get that book if you've never read it yet. And your team may have a different love language, or may have a different communication language than what you're speaking to them in. And so some people receive terms of endearment. Like that's what they want to receive. That's what they hear. That's their language. Some people, it's finances, right? They want that bonus. That's what inspires them. Some people, it could just be a pat on the back, right? Maybe physical touch. I'm not saying touch your staff, but some people just, it was that pat on the back that really lets me know that, wow, I really delivered. So get the book called The Five Love Languages. I taught a lesson on that. If you're in my community and you're watching this right now, it's the 5 languages of leadership. I taught a whole lesson on that. So if you want access to the program, let me know. I can send you that lesson. I'll direct you to where it's at. But the problem is they may not be hearing what you're saying to them because you're speaking a different language than they actually listen to. And if you can get the book, The 5 Love Languages, you could kind of get an idea of where I'm going with that. But that could be one of the reasons why.
She follows up and says, "What are the main questions you ask during your meetings?" I think you have a PDF for that, don't you?
I do. DM me the word 12 questions. Just DM me, like, hey, Nick, I was on your live. I want these 12 questions for my team. But this is what I ask during my one-on-ones. Don't forget, I have a series of questions I ask when I hire people. Like, there's a process here. Like, you have to hire the right people and make sure they're a good fit. If you're hiring the wrong person, it doesn't matter what you do, they're not going to be inspired by you. Like, you hire for hunger. You sound like you're hungry. You sound like you have drive and passion. Then make sure you hire people that match that. If they don't hire them. The salon down the street could probably use them. You want like a team full of savages, but I'm going to give you a quote right now. An army of sheep led by a lion will always defeat an army of lion led by a sheep. So let that sink in for a second. All these owners are bitching about their team and like how they don't show up and my team's not hungry. Well, maybe you're a sheep of a leader. Ask yourself that question. And that's not a dig to you. That's just something for you to kind of sit back and reflect on. So let's talk after this live. Shoot me a message and we'll chat a little more.
Yeah, she said, "I do. It's hard to find passionate people." And she said, "Thank you."
You're welcome.
We got Arla Beauty Lounge. Do you have any recommendations for educators to come into the salon and do classes? Thank you. I have a recommendation. You should call Nick.
Classes on cutting or color?
Probably both.
Roberto Torres, right? Roberto Torres he's in my followers. I follow him. I would he's in Tampa Bay, I believe. He's in Florida. What brand do you carry? And Roberto's gonna be for cutting too, by the way.
Yeah, they said both, please.
Okay. Roberto for cutting. The brand Kuhn has an educator, James. He's amazing. Kuhn itself as a brand will supply you cutting and color and education. So shout out to Kuhn. Rusk has a really good educator. I forget her name, Kim. Tiffany Leo from Christian Michael Hair Extensions. She has an education program for extensions. Who else is really good at coloring? Who is really amazing at coloring? That would teach it. If I'm forgetting your name, please don't hold me accountable. But why don't you sign up for Carly Zanoni's The Blonde Chronicles? Have your team watching that. She's got really good content out there. So I would I'll set you DM me after this, and I'll set you up with Roberto. And who else I'm trying? If I think of the color person off the top of my head, I'll set you up with them too.
Redkin and Schwarzkopf.
Schwarzkopf, I'm not a fan of Redkin. I'll be honest with you. I feel like, and you guys can love me or hate me for this. Shades EQ is a cookie cutter toner. It's the hair feels like shit when you're done using it. I personally like Kuhn's Semi. Milkshake has a really good liquid gloss. Morocco has a really good liquid gloss. I'm just not a fan of Shades EQ. I know it's like the go-to when it comes to toners. Everybody uses it. I'm just not a fan of Redken in general. It's owned by L'Oreal. They sell everything on Amazon. Like it's just highly diverted. So I'm not a big fan of Redken. Some of their educators might be great, but there's other brands out there who give you amazing brand support. Like Kuhn is one of those brands. Rusk is one of those brands. Trust actually has a really good color line too. Look up Trust. There's some really good educators in that brand as well. Any more questions, James?
Yeah, we have. Hold on.
How is the setup here? Is it good?
Yeah, but the first comment that we ever got on the setup was today, so the setup must be good.
Wow,
Someone said I like your setup. So
cool.
um,
A foot up here.
yeah, I think Nick, smoke a cigar, have a good time. You
Wish
know,
I still drank. I'd love to have a little bourbon next to me.
yeah. Well, you don't drink. That's why I didn't say. I was
Smart.
thinking of bourbon as well. A nice little whiskey.
I do have
Um,
the non-alcoholic drink from. Oh shit! I can use that drink.
the non-alcoholic Manhattans that you were having the other day, those were
Yeah.
terrible, dude.
No, they're pretty good. The Negroni is really good.
Oh, oh.
All right. What we got next?
How can I become a more effective leader for my team?
Get in my program right now. Here's how you become a more effective leader. Become a better listener. Become an amazing listener, and then follow through on the changes that need to happen to really help your team deliver on the services they're providing. Becoming a better leader is just really being a great listener, and then having accountability for yourself and following through. John Maxwell is the GOAT when it comes to leadership. So unless you're like, you have to watch everything from him, his YouTube videos, his books, get his audiobooks. He has a bunch of stuff on leadership. But if you want to become a better leader, first become a better listener. But I would just dive into everything that's out there on the internet on leadership. There's so many good books out there. But I got 12 questions. If you want, DM me 12 questions and we can get in a conversation about how you become a better leader. Leadership is what's going to make or break your salon, just to let everybody know. So, a great question. I love the fact that you're asking that question and your head's in the right spot. And just from the fact that you're asking how to become a better leader means that you're going to be successful. So, that's the kind of person I like to work with. So, DM me the word leader. I'll get you the questions. And it's just leadership is everything. And there's two things, honestly, like sales and leadership. If you master those two things, you could succeed in any business. Any business. You throw marketing in the mix too, and then you're complete. But if you could sell, if you could influence, if you can get people to buy into your dream and or buy into your product, like forget about it. And then the leadership comes on the back end of it by delivering on that and making sure that there's processes in place and they're being followed up on. Micromanaging is not leadership though. So just remember that.
Who wants to call in? Come and hang out. We got another question. How can I identify a potential leader within my team and nurture it?
Give them something to do. Like give tasks out. I delegate everything. I don't really do much. It's true. I delegate everything.
That's hilarious.
But depending on how that person shows up is okay. So you can't just tell people to do things. You have to define what your definition of done is. So here's what I would do if you want to find a good leader. All right. So if you want to identify a leader on your team, here's what I would do. I would find the task that you don't enjoy doing anymore. I would grab that person. I would articulate to them what my definition of done is for that task. I would take them through 10% of the project, how I do it, what I expect for it to be completed, like what I expect, what's the word I'm thinking of, how I expect it to look when it's completed. Then I would give them 80% of the project. Figure it out. I don't care how you do it. I just want it to look like this when it's done. For the last part of the project, that last 10%, I would then inspect what I expect to see how they did. That's how I would find the leader on my team. Next question. I hope that helped too, by the way.
Let's see.
Is that Marley bouncing around back there?
Yeah. Someone came, tried to open the door, and she got excited. What kind of incentives work best for team morale and productivity?
I I'm motivated by money, so I just have a higher commission tier. I do a tiered structure. I don't base it on a level system. And so I start at 50, I cap at 70, but that's because my location can endure that higher commission. Honestly, like for incentives, they have to be individual for each person. So go back to the 5 love languages I spoke about, and I would find out what that person's leadership language is and how they like to be led. And then I would give them incentives based on how they give and receive love, because that's what's really going to be the most impact for them. That's probably the best answer I can give you. You just have to keep the standard raised, and you have to make sure that when you're doing your one-on-ones, you know what's important to them. So I always seek first to understand. I always want to know what's important. Like I want to find out what is my team members' passion? Like what do they want to do with their life? Where like what experiences they want to have? And then based on those experiences, what kind of person do they need to become to make those experiences possible? And then it's my job as a leader to deliver on the skills required for that person to achieve that level of success. And so if I do that, then they're going to be happy because they feel fulfilled and they're having the experiences that they want. And then they're good at what they're doing. And when you're good at something, you more than likely like doing that thing because you're good at it. And it's like this non and never ending cycle of just happiness and success. They're continually raising the bar. They're having more experiences. And that just comes from you speaking to them. And so the incentives are the success that they receive from the work they're putting in to get them to the experiences they want to have. Hope that made sense. James, does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I've also seen you do some like hidden competitions, like you'll tell your team to do something.
Yeah, I don't believe in the competitions because it causes animosity between the team. I wanted to trigger some kind of animosity, so I had a purpose for that. And so, like, I did. I didn't tell them this. I gave $1,000 to the person who posted every day, and one person did it, so she got $1,000.
Yeah, you would just tell them you want them to post more, and
And so I run something by them to help them grow their business, and I don't tell them it's a competition. I just reward the person in front of the whole group, and that reward was $1,000. Everybody was pissed because they didn't know about the competition, but it wasn't about the competition. I don't want them to do it just for the money. I wanted them to build a habit of posting consistently every day because it would build their business.
so that's a cool incentive. I thought that was really cool.
But the incentive is them to be better.
Well, yeah, it's the incentive. Absolutely,
Yeah.
it's not
And
like
that,
a
yeah, like people need to understand, like life doesn't get easier. You just get better. And so if you want your team to show up, then make them better. Give them the skills that help them become better versions of themselves.
it's the old adage: give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man a fish, he'll eat every day for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
No more questions on my end.
Beautiful. All right, guys, that was a good live. If hopefully you guys got something from this live today. If not, then I'm sorry. I'm going to jump into my DMs now, and I got a couple more videos to make. But we're gonna be going live every day. I don't know what time still, but typically today's Thursday, right?
Today is Thursday.
Somewhere
yes.
between like 10 a.m., 3 p.m. on the East Coast side. That's gonna be our window. We are looking for guests to come on live, so I have a pretty flexible window, and that's Monday through Friday. It's gonna range. If I could pick a time that I could probably be consistent with, it might be 3 o'clock because a lot of things happen at noon, and so it's difficult for me to get guests on at that time. So 3 is late enough on the West Coast, early enough still on the East Coast to make that happen. It just sucks for anyone in Australia. So you guys are beat, but it's still early enough for people in the UK. So sorry, Australia. We'll just have to film in the morning on those days to get you in if you wanted to go live. I was talking to uh, social shit. Her name dropped off my mind, Ash. And I was talking to Ash, the social coach, and we're gonna do a podcast with her. It's gonna be in the morning because she's in Australia. So if you guys want to be in the podcast, regardless of where you are, I can make it work. It may or may not be just live. That's it. So everyone, thanks for watching. You're amazing. I will see you tomorrow.
If you like this content, go and check out the full YouTube, share it with your team, help grow, and hit like and subscribe. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. See you later.